Thus far, we've looked at using SchoolNet to look up assessments and scores given elsewhere. Let's look at using SchoolNet to create our own assessments. So, from the portal, click on the blue assessment icon. This will bring up the SchoolNet landing page. Up at the top, under Assessment Admin, we're going to directly click on Create. That brings us to the screen. We have three options. Create an express test. This, at some point, will be a very nice option, but at this point the item bank is virtually empty, so there is no question bank for SchoolNet to create an assessment for you, so ignore express test. That leaves us the middle option, create a test manually. So let's click on Start Now. We need to give our test a name. We need to choose a subject. We need a grade level. And we need to know the number of items. I'm going to make this a 4-item test, and I'm going to make it all multiple choice, just to keep things simple. Test category. If we are doing this collaboratively with other teachers, which you can do from within SchoolNet, it would be a common assessment. To use just for yourself, but still have scores available elsewhere, let's make it a classroom assessment. You can ignore my classroom assessments for now. You can hide item content if you should so choose, but I can't see any reason to at this point. An unanswered question is going to be scored. The score type is % correct. The standards for this particular test are going to be 2014 to 15 mathematics, AKS. I am going to use a test that has already been given. It's a paper test, and the only thing we're going to do in SchoolNet is going to be create an answer key. So we're going to choose answer key only. All of these other options can be left with their initial settings. If you are working on this test assessment with other teachers, you would enter them under the co-authoring settings by simply enabling co-authoring and putting the name of the teacher you wish to work with or coordinate with. Once you're ready, click Generate Test, and it's begun. We are at the private draft stage, meaning no one else can see this assessment at this point. And there is a little pencil icon on paper to show us that we are on item 1. The language for the test and responses is English. Now, I need to associate this question with a standard. So I'm going to click on Standard Lookup. Notice that the correct AKS and math, the subject level and grade level have already been chosen for me. I'm going to go down here, and in the standard picker, I'm going to just choose a standard. I'm going to scroll down and say Done. Now I've got a standard associated with this question. I need to let SchoolNet know which answer is correct. So I'm going to choose answer C. SchoolNet is automatically going to make answer C worth 1 point. The others will be set to 0 points. Don't worry about trying to make the numbers add up. SchoolNet will figure out the percentages for you. You can just leave these as they fall. All right. Return to test detail, and you'll see my test content. I have 4 questions, only one of which, however, has a standard associated with it and have I identified the correct answer. So I need to go into my other 4 questions and put them in edit mode. So I'll choose edit for item 2. I'll look up a standard for item 2. I'm going to go directly to item 3. But notice the red exclamation point. I didn't do something on item 2 that needed to be done. Let's go back and see what I left out. I didn't tell it the correct response. That's going to be a problem. Now I have. Now I should be able to go to item 3. Notice the green check mark to say I've done everything as I should for item 2. Alright, let's look up an item for this test item. And let's identify the correct response. Now I should be able to go to item 4 and get a green checkbox next to item 3. Look up a standard for item 4. And identify the correct response. Now, if I return to test detail, I should have an assessment for responses. Correct answer has been identified, as has been the standard on each question. I'm now ready to go to the next stage of this test, which is to make the test public. Now the test is a public draft, meaning if there were collaborators, other people would now be able to work on this with me. Notice also that I can make a copy of the test or delete the test. I've got an answer key as a PDF, and if I had input the actual questions, I would have also a student test booklet that I could generate as a doc. It's ready to schedule. Once I schedule this test, notice that it's telling me I will no longer be able to make changes to the test. Now, this is not entirely true since we're dealing with an answer key document. In an answer key document, I can always go back and change my answers even after the test has been scheduled, even after the test has been taken. What they are warning me is if there were specific directions or questions and rubrics in this test, those items, those question items, I would not be able to change once the test has been scheduled or given. Since this is an answer key only document, I can actually ignore this warning. So the last few items we would have to supply SchoolNet with are a start date for our assessment, an end date for our assessment, which will default to being 1 week after whatever start date you input, and the date scores are due in SchoolNet, and whether you wish to prevent the scanning of additional answer sheets after the score date has passed. In terms of assignments, since SchoolNet identified this as a 6th grade math test, the quick assignment for SchoolNet would be to assign it to all 26 courses identified as 6th grade math in this school. I could also edit that assignment and assign it only to my math class if I know the section number. I can also simply recommend it to all of my math teachers. That will simply show up as a recommended assessment to the teachers of these 26 courses. Now, this is where I would put in a course name and assign it. Note that the test is currently unassigned, which is what I intended. And this is the final stage until the test itself is actually completed. And that's all there is to creating a quick assessment in SchoolNet.